Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Bangkok and InfoCommAsia 2023. My name is Tenant, and I'll be your MC for the NIXT retail session today. And besides this event here in Bangkok, InfoComm also delivers similar events in Beijing and Mumbai for the China and Indian markets respectively. Together, these three events provide access to the largest AV markets in Asia and brings together more than 70,000 attendees, comprising AV professionals and vertical market end users. This event, InfoCommAsia, was first launched in 2019 and was disrupted for 2 years due to the pandemic. It then returned in person in 2022. So this 2023 show is the third edition, and we're looking forward to welcoming thousands of visitors from all over Asia to discover new AV technologies, explore collaborations and opportunities, and rekindle friendships. Without further ado, allow me to begin this session by introducing our keynote speaker, Mr. Haryanto Pratantara, who will be speaking on navigating the new retail landscape for sustainable growth. Please welcome Mr. Haryanto.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a pleasure for me to be here today as we embark on a journey of exploration and innovation. And it requires us to rethink and reimagine our business models, supply chain, and customer experiences to create a more sustainable future. We face global challenges. The retail industry faces unprecedented challenges and exciting opportunities that transform the retail landscape as we know it, such as war, economic crisis, pandemic, technology advancement, and environmental change. The Russia-Ukraine war has caused significant damage to the economy, surpassing that of other wars. And the COVID-19 pandemic has been crippling the world economy for more than 2 years. The impact of climate change is increasingly felt over time and become more severe over time. The Asian heat wave of 2023 recorded the temperatures of 43 degrees Celsius in Bangkok and 51 degrees in Bangladesh. And Bangkok, where we are now, is one of the cities that could be worse hit by global warming. In the short term, since it just sits only 1.5 meters above sea level and is sinking. Hopefully it not happen, yeah. The changes in consumer needs and preference also happen because of that challenges. The desires and requirements that drive consumer purchasing decisions also change. It leads to the changes in consumer expectations. Now consumers want convenience, context, and control. And how well a company meets those expectations is our challenge. None other way than enhancing customer experience that is driven by technology. Let's see what is the changing in consumer needs and preferences. First is sustainability. Now is a way of life for business and consumers. From the survey that conducted by McKinsey, sustainability presents the greatest opportunity. And the interpretation among retailers of sustainability meaning is reducing environment impact. Sustainability does matter since it attracts investors, employees, and customers. It also drives innovation, growth and cost savings, contribute towards SDGs. Unilever demonstrated that there is a positive relationship between a company's sustainability efforts and profitability, with its sustainable living brands delivering 75% of the company's growth in 2018. Consumers are willing to pay more for green. More than 70% of consumers said they are willing to pay higher for products that have a positive impact on the environment or health. Gen X and baby boomers found price to be more important, but our present and future consumers that is millennials and Gen Z, were more willing to buy a more expensive product if it offered higher value. Pomelo, Thai brand, has a down-to-earth collection. It is an eco-friendly and ethically sourced products. And the National Restaurant Association in US and World Wildlife Fund have created a set of wood waste reduction resources to help us cut the waste and save money. Reduce, reuse, refurbish, repair, recycling will grow. Pre-owned products, recycling, and reusing are becoming more mainstream and increasingly expected by consumers. Patagonia, for example, has supply chain transparency. Uniqlo has a repair service, and Lululemon has a program called Like New by Lululemon that SEP gently use Lululemon and resell them online. The other changes in customer preferences is a unisex and gender fluid. Younger generations in the US are most likely to buy more gender-neutral fashion now. 1 in 2 Gen Z consumers, on average, have purchased fashion outside of their gender identity. Unisex fashion revolution will change the way we shop. Many brands and retailers will require rethinking their product design, marketing, and in-store and digital shopping experiences. Size, price, fitting rooms, and marketing are all poised for change. Gucci has just introduced Gucci MX, a project which caters to non-binary consumers. And Pedro, a Singaporean brand, also launched a unisex fashion collections. Interestingly, it will lead to adapt the store design. Pedro is a great example of that. This is a Pedro Singapore store in Raffles Mall. We can see that the left side is a men's collection area and the right side is the women collection area. And the middle of it, the one with the wood panel, is a unisex collection. So it's a transition between men and women's area. Now, what is consumers want? They want convenience, context, and control. Convenient means fast and easy. They want to purchase products online and offline immediately. They want same-day service delivery. They doesn't want to queuing. And they want a well-informed information and also want flexible exchange policy, such as long exchange period, exchange for any product or refund, and return to anywhere to the nearest return point from their location. Amazon Go is a great example of fast and easy, since it allows customers to go in, take the product, and leave as if it were their own store. Another example is KCG, a fashion retail company in Indonesia that has provided transact in store and have the items delivered service. The interesting thing about this service is that the stock will be delivered from the nearest store to the delivery address to minimize the shipping cost. And the customer can return to anywhere to the nearest return point from their location. Era Blue Electronics has same-day delivery and installation service, while Decathlon members can return or exchange or refund the product they bought within 1 year from the purchase date. Next is context or personalized. The customer wants treated specially, want a customized offer, and a loyalty program that enable consumers to earn points at one organization and use them at another. We now enter the era of personalized retail. Spiral Edge added AI feature to its personalization technology, so the new items will immediately show up in the product recommendations of the specific consumers. And McDonald's has a personalized menu that allows their customers build their own burger. Nike Buy You program allows customers to customize the shoes they order. Next one is control or option. Customers want a wide product selection both online and offline, and they also want to have multi-payment option from cash and to digital payment or even pay later. They also want an option in delivery for regular or same-day service, or even pick up at store or deliver to home. This is a good service actually, since 20% of customers will buy something else when they are in the store. And this buy online and pick up in store service serves two purposes. First, give fast access to the customers. And second, the shipping expenses is absorbed by the customer. Walmart, for example, has more than 3,000 pickup locations for online orders, and they offer same-day delivery from almost 3,000 stores. And they also adding pickup towers for pickup online, pickup in store. Now, how to enhance the customer experience? Improving the customer experience and leveraging the new technologies is a key priority for retailers ahead. Retail 1.0 is a single channel retail. Basically is an offline stores. While Retail 2.0 is a multi-channel retail online and offline. Retail 3.0 integrate the online and offline channels. And we now enter the Retail 4.0, where integrating all the channels that are available, not only online and offline, but also social. The customer wants seamless hybrid experience across all channels, from offline, online, and social. And it's all driven by technology. AI help us to predict demand forecast more accurately. A case study for Walmart, for example, Walmart has high inventory loss due to inaccurate product forecasts. And they have AI to help using predictive analytics, integrate sales data and forecast to predict the most sellable products. Then the result is they can have early anticipation of a rise or fall in product demand, increase forecast accuracy, and enhancing product merchandising. The interesting thing is they can also use in the fashion industry. Fashion industry is more challenging since the fashion trends are so fast in changing the design and everything else. So the AI help to predict the trends by analyzing social media posts of fashion designers and influencers. And it can automate trend analysis effort and able to follow the trends earlier and in return increase in sales. Another example from Pomelo is that they have tap try buy apps that allow customers to tap and try before they buy. It's a combining experience from online and offline. Sephora, blending the physical and digital experience through conversational AI. to create a personalized purchase roadmap by providing customers with product knowledge, making recommendations, and reserving and picking up their orders at their convenience. Nike and Warby Parker has augmented reality apps that allows their customers to see how the product looks on them without trying it on. And there's also a smart fitting room that allows the customer to ask the store staff to bring the products they choose to the fitting room without having to go out and pick them themselves. The next level is virtual fitting room. It also created to enhance the customer experience. Now, a new way to reach your potential customers is by doing brand collaborations. For example, Uniqlo and Marni brand collaborations, and also Pomelo and Grab exclusive collaboration. 25% of those who use social media purchase a product through social media and or a social influencer. And more than 50% of APAC consumers will make a product purchase via influencers. That is the power of social media and influencer marketing. Social commerce will increasingly become a more powerful tool for small brands to access their well-targeted customer segments and make them able to compete with large brands, because now the product or the brand is heavily influenced by the influencers in the social media. Lazada has a program called Less Live that levels up their live commerce by combining selling and entertainment. It's called Shoppertainment. Now, the key takeaways from this session: first, consumer is changing. Changes in consumer needs and preferences, changes in consumer expectations. That consumers want now is convenience, context, and control. Enhancing customer experiences that are driven by technology. Retailers need to stay up to date with these changes and try to predict their effort on consumer behavior. And they will need to be agile and adaptable to the changing landscape of the retail industry. And those who can stay ahead of these trends and innovate in their business models, operations, and offering will be better positioned for success. Thank you for this short presentation.
And up next, we have a panel discussion on delivering seamless, personalized experiences to your digital savvy customers. And let me introduce our moderator for this session, Justin Halim, who's an expert partner, APAC Marketing and E-commerce Practice Head at Bain and Company, Singapore. And three of our panelists, Lawrence Lowe, Digital and Omni-Channel Transformation Lead, Alcon Vision Care International, Singapore. And our second panelist, Shankar Viswanathan, former head e-commerce of Asia Pacific, Middle East, Africa, Procter & Gamble, Singapore. And our last panelist, Victor Chen, head of digital experience, IOI Malls, Malaysia. Please welcome our guests onto the stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us. We're very, very lucky to have a really cool panel discussion, a really cool conversation over the coming few minutes. Love to introduce you to Lawrence, Shankar, Victor. Very quick intro on me. My name is Justin from Bain and Company. I lead our marketing and e-commerce practice in Singapore. And we're here to talk about building on Haryanto's opening keynote, talking about how we drive seamless, personalized experiences to our digital savvy consumers and customers. Would love to keep this conversational. We do have a nice intimate audience. So if there are any questions through the course of the panel, please do raise your hands and we can interject. We want to make sure it's as helpful for you as possible. Shankar has also mentioned to me that if I don't like his answers, I'm more than okay to cut him off and take questions from the group. Right. So maybe firstly, just to let our panelists introduce themselves, maybe each one of you, Lawrence, Shankar, Victor, let everyone know what is your role. But in addition to that, tell us as a consumer about a really cool customer experience or a consumer experience that you had as a consumer and what made it awesome. Start with Lawrence.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So I'm Lawrence. I am the digital and omni-channel transformation lead for Alcon Vision Care International. So I handle APAC markets, and I would say that my focus currently in my company is really about driving and optimizing consumer and customer experiences across online channels. So when I say consumer, will be people who needs vision correction, and customers would be our retail customers in malls, as well as optical stores and even clinics that would need to offer vision correction solutions to consumers. So first question is about my latest, I would say most recent, consumer experience would be the need for me to repair my iPhone. So I think everybody knows that Apple is at the forefront in terms of optimizing consumer experience, right? So as an end consumer, first thing I do is to go and search for a solution online. And so I search for a solution online, it directs me, found a link, direct me to online chat. And then I had a chat with technical support on Apple, and they can't solve it, and they straight away got me an appointment at the Genius Bar. So they really offer a very painless experience for something that's very painful for me. And I think that has been something I learned in terms of, them making sure that the journey that consumer go through with regards to different types of problems, I'm sure they actually gone through the research to make sure that it's all being resolved in that right way. So, yeah, that's for me.
Cool. Yeah, that's a very cool online and offline experience as well to resolving a consumer problem. So that's awesome. Shankar.
Good morning. Good morning. I hope all of you can hear me. Firstly, thank you for inviting me for this event. It's great to be back in Bangkok after, 7 or 8 years. It looks beautiful. So thank you so much. My name is Shankar. You can read it there. I have left P&G, but I was at Procter & Gamble for 32 and a half years. And the last role that I did for almost 4 years was leading e-commerce for P&G for Asia, Pacific, Middle East, and Africa, setting up the business, operating the business, setting up capabilities, and it's a vast region. Of course, that's not the only thing I did in 32 and a half years. I mean, I worked all over the world, lived in 6 countries, moved 14 times. I'm moving on to, and I'm really passionate about commerce in general, and I really liked what the previous Haryanto talked about, the stage that we're entering, which is integrated commerce right now. Anyway, coming on to the experience, I think, I have a lot of great experiences online, offline. I mean, I can talk about Nike, I can talk about Airbnb, I can talk about Nespresso. In fact, I was just searching and doing some work this morning, and I saw a new advertising of Nespresso, which does a tremendous piece of work online. But maybe I'll talk about Airbnb, and I was really intrigued about the new concept they've just launched 4 weeks back, which is the concept of rooms. And I went into the website. First thing I liked is the CEO himself was talking about rooms. So he was introducing it in a video, and it was not very, it was not hard selling. It was really talking about the concept. And I would encourage for all of you to go and see it. Then I was planning to travel. So I said, okay, I must travel and try rooms. So I did pick up a place in the US, where I wanted to go. And I booked a room, but I wanted to ask a question about parking, etc. And then I shut down my computer. And then I got a response from the owner of rooms, so the person who owns the rooms facility, within 4 hours, considering this is a 12, 13-hour time difference between Boston and Singapore. And he answered the question clearly, succinctly, to the point. And I had gone through the ratings and reviews because I'm an e-commerce person. So some of the reviews were actually not good reviews. So I asked him a follow-up question, and he actually said, yes, we made a mistake, and this is something I learned from. So I was really impressed about the level of horizontal platform. And what I really liked is most online platforms, the answers of customer queries are given by some sales agents. But here it was actually given by the owner himself, right? And then he was welcoming me. And then, of course, it became the sales. You have time till, 16 May to book it and all that stuff. So I said, okay, hold on, right? So it was really a terrific experience, and I'll leave it at that. So I think I will definitely use that facility soon.
I think that's a great story. I think that's a great lesson in ownership from the CEO level of Airbnb all the way through to the ownership at the room level as well. So yeah, that's a good story. Victor.
Hi everyone. My name is Victor Chin. I'm the head of digital experience from IOI Malls. For those who haven't been to Malaysia, we're the largest mall right now in Malaysia. IOI City Mall near Putrajaya, very close to the airport the next time we go, right? I think we have about 2.5 million square feet of nettable area just in that. So we're not only, very little people know about IOI malls. We actually have a total of 4 malls, including one in China and one in Johor as well. And yeah, come visit our mall when you're in Malaysia. And basically my role is to transform that whole physical retail experience onto the digital arena through digital marketing, social media, e-commerce. And I guess to share the experience that I had with relating to a good digital one, I was at this tea brand called Chagi. I don't know if you hear of it. It's a China brand. And it was basically the most frictionless loyalty sign up that I've ever done. And I'm pleasantly surprised because, it's taking some cues from online where if you go to a website, they don't ask you for your first name, last name, phone number and whatnot. They just ask you to put in an email address, right? So it was the same thing. I was buying a cup of tea and it said, do you want to sign up for a loyalty program? All you got to do is just give us your name and your phone number. I don't even have to give my real name. So whatever name that I put on the tea, right? And I said, okay, sure, since I don't have to sign up anything. And once I did that, when my tea was ready to be picked up, of course, they put the number there, but I got a notification from WhatsApp directly. And it says, okay, as a member, you can now cut the queues if you buy online. And if you put in further more of your information, you get X number of discounts and vouchers. So they're really doing that gradual information collection rather than forcing you to give everything all at once. So I thought that was pretty pleasant as compared to a lot of all those loyalty programs where they ask you to sign up tons and tons of information, even though we don't really care about it, right, as a consumer right now, as long as we have the advantage. Yeah, so that's my experience.
That's a very cool one, and there's a lot of learnings in that, right? Data acquisition, but in a mutual value exchanging and value enhancing way. So that's another really cool example. So please put your hand up if you do have any questions. But maybe just to kick things off, so just building on the opening keynote from Haryanto, what we saw is a very, very complex consumer journey these days. It's a world that's gone increasingly mobile. We've just come out of COVID, which was heavily online and now has gone back to online and offline together. Talked about retail 3.0 and 4.0. Shankar, how do you maximize how do you maximize and enhance consumer experience in that really complex world for consumers these days?
Yeah, I think experience is a very complex thing. Then it means different things to different people. It can be physical, it can be psychological, it can be social, it can be psychographic. So I think first of all you have to be very, very clear in my mind about what you mean by experience in the first place, because and then so I think the best way for me to understand experience is actually to do get closer to the consumer. I think, be in touch with the consumer. And I would actually separate the two between the consumer and shopper, as Lawrence was talking, right? So it's consumers are people who consume your brands and shoppers are the people who buy your brands, right? And sometimes both of them are not the same, right? And for me, the biggest experience that I've seen is yardstick of experiences driven by repeat and loyalty. So the outcome justifies the means to a great extent. Because if a consumer comes back or shopper comes back, buys your brand, and especially in categories like I come from, which I was working with Procter & Gamble, where we are in daily use categories. And as we say, in categories like P&Gs, I mean, people vote on our brands almost every day. Are they going to buy my brand, P&G brand versus a competitive brand? So I think the concept of trial loyalty, repeat, outcome justifies the means. Second, I think to understand how consumers will like to get that experience delivered. I think we talked in Haryanto's space. People want it to be an integrated experience now versus a one-way in the past. So you can go out and deliver the experience in different ways, and digital, physical, at home, through friends, through influencers. So I think, I think third one is the content of the experience, right? What they want to be experienced about. So of course, sustainability is picking up in a big way, material sourcing, ingredient transparency. So I think those are aspects are coming. So for me, before I go out and, deliver some beautiful videos and deliver some beautiful artworks, I would like to first understand what does experience mean in that category for that consumer segment, for the who, and then start delivering it so that you don't just create something in utopian land and then shove it down consumers' throats, right? To put it crassly.
Thank you. Thanks, Shankar. And I guess linking to also the opening keynote where the path to enhancing consumer experience is increasingly being enabled by technology. I know, Lawrence, when we were speaking earlier, in your very, very complex B2B as well as B2C and in the middle B2B2C remit, you've made some technology investments as well in order to drive consumer experience. Can you share a little bit about that?
I didn't really, mention about the loyalty program that we try to develop as well. I mean, if I go back to what Victor is saying, I think that's one of the things that we try to help our retailers during COVID. So as you know, last 3 years, consumers are moving online, and our independent outlets, which is our family-run optical stores, that's very prevalent in APAC. They face huge challenges from, major key accounts like Lenskart coming in from India. You have Owndays from Korea and Taiwan. So they have started to expand aggressively online. And what we feel as a manufacturer is how we start enable our customers that like family-run independent outlets able to withstand those challenges from those key accounts and those huge chains, right? So obviously, family-run outlets, they have 20, 30 years of consumer data or their own customers or consumers' prescriptions. So what we do is to provide them with a platform as a manufacturer to be able to store their consumer data or prescription, obviously with the agreement, on our platform. And with that, they're able to start harnessing the CRM capabilities on our platform to start targeting and personalizing messages to these consumers that they have for the past 20, 30 years, which are very loyal consumers as well. And how do we start retaining them? So that was one of the big push from our organization that was really a step change in how we approach enabling digital experiences for our customers, our retailers, I would say. I think the second one that we did is to start expanding our communication channels through Salesforce, which is our CRM platform provider. As you know, for APAC, we are very used to using social messaging apps. So I know there's many Vietnamese in the room here. I think you guys use Yalo as a social messaging app. The Philippines, you guys will be using Viber, from what I know. And obviously, WhatsApp is a universal platform that everyone uses across the world. So traditionally, most pharma medical device company are using email marketing to engage with our healthcare professionals, our optical store owners. So that doesn't really work in APAC. We know the engagement through email marketing is very low as compared to social messaging apps. So we started expanding our communication channels on our CRM to include those social messaging apps. And that has been one of our biggest push as well to make sure we have the technology to support those engagement through these alternative communication channels that has not been used previously. So lastly, I think that we have started developing and, bring in technology provider to build a CDP, a consumer data platform. As we know, consumers are coming across different channels, and Retail 4.0 is really integration that is very the key right now. Consumers are coming through social, they're coming through, different kind of platform, different channels. So how do we start, looking at like-for-like personalization? How do you look at, creating very specific segmentation and targeting so that we can start pushing the right messages to them? So quite a long answer to your question, but just give you more context to the technology investments that we made in the past 3 years. Yep.
No, that's very helpful. So if I read between the lines, I'm sensing there was in the B2B platform, there was probably a CMS e-commerce functionality payment gateways. The email to messaging, that there's probably some marketing automation investment. There is the CDP, there is Salesforce CRM. So there's actually quite a lot of technology investments. And probably marketing analytics behind that as well. Victor, I know you've made some technology investments as well. What were some that you've made?
Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised because I think our kind of investments mirror what you have, Lawrence. But the most significant one that we have right now is actually in our loyalty app, because it still tracks the consumer purchase and the behavior in the malls, right? Yes, as per Lawrence also, because we actually found, now the trouble with us is that we're like a landlord, right? We don't own the brands. We try and get people to come to the mall and curate that experience. And unfortunately, the experiences we're competing with is on those social media platforms. Everybody just want to stay at home and scroll through, right? So for those people who are scrolling through, we're also increasing our presence in this social media. I think some of our tenants also don't do it well. So we actually have to go into our tenants and feature their products and services and say, hey, you got to market your product in this platform and whatnot. So we kind of transform ourselves like a digital marketing agency for the 600 tenants across the malls. So that's very diverse. Yeah. It's like equivalent to P&G having multiple brands, right? Yeah. So the loyalty program is definitely one that we think we can add value back to the merchants, because it's not just giving the sort of cash back and whatnot, right? But at the end, our vision is to collect data from a consolidated platform across the malls, and then hopefully we can share that information back with the tenants themselves, right? And I think we are also having the longer term vision. It's not going to materialize so fast. So many data points, right? Website, email, chats. It's all information that's very valuable, but how do we get it? So that customer data platform thing is something that we're looking at. But, normalization, getting data, centralizing, too many executional issues. So we are taking it one step at a time. But it's definitely an investment that is critical for us. Yeah.
So all of these technology investments or potential investments that you're looking at all sound very, very expensive. And when we work with our clients at Bain as well, it's often the question, how much is it going to cost? And what is going to be the payoff? And what is the time horizon for those payoffs? When you're thinking about making these tech investments, and I'm sure P&G Shankar have definitely made a lot of these tech investments. How do you build the case? How do you get the business buy-in into investing behind these things? Yeah.
Great question. I mean, I think any investment, and especially in today's world, tech investments, technology investments, especially the hardware, software part, I'm not talking about the people part, which we can come to later. is a crucial investment. And I think the biggest challenge in technology investment versus hard investments of the last 15, 20, 30 years is that we have to be very careful about these investments because technology obsolescence is very high. Technology today, I mean, just look at the movement from server to cloud. I mean, all the servers are sitting and there's a complete waste of money. And when we had invested in a lot of these servers like 3, 4, 5 years ago, we said, okay, the NPV of this is 5 years, then we can resell this. All those financial calculations are basically, you can tear them up and throw them in a dustbin, right? And the server's still sitting, occupying space, and nobody's willing to buy it. I mean, that's how, and cloud is still what I believe. I was listening to the Amazon earnings release is what 10% still of the global utilization of cloud platforms. So technology obsolescence is very high, and that's been a big, and it's growing and it's also accelerating at a speed which we never thought about. So I actually start with technology. I'm not a technical person, right? So I come from business to use technology. So that's a terrific advantage that I have. And that's why I was doing e-commerce for P&G versus coming from a technical standpoint. So the first question I ask is, what's going to be the benefit of the technology? So if there are any technologies that help me simplify my engaging with consumers or improve experience or simplify work for my people internally, or it helps me automate some of the stuff through robotic process automations, etc., which are going to be sustainable investments, I think I would definitely go after those. Second, if I make a technology investment, I always ask the question, what's going to give? So the concept of give and get. So if I want to give you that investment, what are you going to stop doing to generate? So if the technology is going to cost $100,000, $200,000, everything cannot be incremental cost, right? I think that's a second one. Increasingly, also, I'm realizing the value of going for variable technology investments versus fixed technology investments, because variable, like, it's coming up, software as a service, hardware as a service, etc., versus going for fixed technology investments, investing the millions in hardware and software. I think the third big piece I ask, and I get a lot of people wanting to talk to me about technology. Hardly a week goes by where I have 2 or 3 people pinging me on LinkedIn and saying, can I present this technology to you? How can you use this technology? And I out of interest and I respect for the environment, I'm a big supporter of small enterprises, new businesses, startups. So, obviously everybody comes up with something breakthrough. The only thing I asked them after they finished their spiel for 30, 45 minutes, I said, okay, can we start with the business, right? What's going to be the business impact of this? So I think if we can start technology investments by saying what's going to be the business impact, which in terms of, what all companies have to deliver 4, 5, 6 business metrics, right? Whichever, whether you're small or big, whether you're a non-profit or a profit, right? Top line sales, profitability, gross margin, cash, return on investments. I think these are 5 metrics. Of course, other metrics you can talk about. So I asked, can you give inventory? We talked about the Walmart case study, which Haryanto just presented, which is part of cash. But, inventory is even under focus now, especially interest rates with the way they are. So I asked the question, what's going to be the business impact of this? And which part of the business will it fit into, right? So is it in supply chain? Is it in customer service? Is it in marketing? Is it in selling? So I think you need to, map this out very carefully. Of course, in my career, we made some serious technology investments. I mean, we set up ERP platforms inside and externally with our customers. We funded the ERP platforms. I think 10 years back, it was through the Microsoft Solomon. And all of it went to obsolescence because, ERP can be developed on a pretty, made to order basis right now versus taking the off-the-shelf platforms. So I would say, be careful what business results, articulate them. And most importantly, I said, okay, before I'm going to make those investments of X $1,000, can I spend, 1/10 of it, 1/20th of it? Show me, right? Can we do a pilot? It can be a short burn pilot, like 2 months, 3 months. Show me the results. Like in the e-com digital language, we talk A/B testing. and see what results we can deliver. It may not be perfect, but it'll be better. So, and through that can justify the investment for me. And through that, I would still say you will not have 100% success because that's utopian anyway. But, get to 70-80% success rates is better than 20-30. And then we will see. So.
Yeah, I like that. So really understanding what the return payoff is, and I'll probably add what is the time horizon for those return payoffs. And then, piloting or A/B testing in the e-commerce world, which is actually something similar to Lawrence, who's already made the laundry list of investments. And you talk about a dare to fail culture. So how did you get buy-in for all of those investments that you've made in tech?
So I really like what Shankar has mentioned, right? Because to be honest, it's really about the business impact. So whenever we start any project, whether it's B2B, B2C, or B2C, it's always important to have all the internal stakeholders, whether it's upper management or even your cross-functional teams, to really come together to set the project charter. And this charter becomes the one compass where the whole entire company will rally behind and agree upon those KPIs that you guys set in the first place. So I know there's a lot of AV, companies over here, and I see there's a lot of parallels between my industry and yours because, as a company, we manufacture products and for our retailers as well as for end consumers. And I think with regards to our projects that we run, how do we make that investment choice behind which channel? So we could obviously go through the entire laundry list of technologies out there and start deploying it for every single channel, whether it's B2B, B2C, or B2B2C. But at the end of the day, as a company, we need to make very choiceful decisions, right? So we, as a team, we work with the Innovation Hub to decide, okay, where exactly would our consumer and our customers' pain points are? What is the near, the short, mid, and long-term goals? So it's not something that we could sit down together, just me and my team, to decide what other investments are. Where should we put our money behind? It really has to go according to our company vision. I think that's very important in terms of where we are going to go to the next couple of years, and then decide to invest those projects behind that vision. I think that's the most important thing. Now, part of that, obviously, you have the project charters to help you rally your team behind. And in terms of which channels, as I mentioned before, having the A/B testing, the dare to fail mindset is important. So there are many methods out there that you could develop a prototype very quickly. I'm sure everybody knows about the Google Glass case study. Not exactly the best case study, but it took technically 6 days for them to create the prototype of Google Glass. Obviously, it wasn't a successful product, but the prototyping methodology has been around for many, many years. So we as a company start to use that method to prototype quickly and start to deploy in small scale quickly as well, so they can use that as a use case to move forward. And we definitely fail almost 60-70% of the time, but we know our investment is very minimal in the way we are running our projects. So that's again another long answer to your question.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's a very good answer. Very good answer. And so on the topic of technology, flowing on from the topic of technology, what flows through technology is data, and data is super important, I guess, from enhancing consumer experiences. Now, Victor, you talked about your complex business model where you're a mall, but you're almost a house of brands beyond your control as well. So when you think about data for enhancing consumer experience for your malls, how do you leverage data, and what data sources and what types of data are most important to you in maximizing that consumer experience?
Okay, so is there any mall operators here? Okay.
There's probably a lot of mall shoppers here.
I'll give you some insight how the mall works. Yeah. So yes, it's correct. What I try to do with my team is then let me ask a question. Who's in digital here then? Digital marketer? Okay, fine. So those who are in digital, we usually map our customer journey, right? Because everything can be tracked online. of course, the malls also map your journey, but in a more crude fashion. Okay, in a sense that, okay, I'm going to place your commodities or essential stuff at the end so that you walk all the way and then you can see all the other stores, right? I design how you move out, right? But I think today, as a educated consumer, we already know that, right? And we really want our stuff. We know what it is. We want to get in, get out very quickly. So our challenge is how to make that mall experience fun, engaging, right? A social place. So from that, we usually plan out the customer journey in terms of where those data collection points can be. And with today's technology being commoditized very cheaply, there's a lot of things that are very possible. For example, when you come in, this is my vision. It's probably takes some time to realize. When you come in, we know your parking car information, right? License plate recognition. So from there, we can actually know if you're signed up as a member, who you are. Did you come back in the past 6 months? What you purchased? Where you parked? I know it sounds very scary, okay, but all this information cannot be identified as an individual if you don't give the consent, all right? So with that, then obviously you get along the way. I think a lot of people also don't know that if you walk throughout the mall with your mobile devices today, actually information can be captured on approximately where you're visiting, right? We can people count. We know how long you stay at a certain location. Like I said, it sounds scary, but it's not that scary. So from our side is really how do we actually use that data and then provide values back to the consumer so it doesn't feel so invasive, right? Like if I get your parking information, perhaps what I can do is to direct you to where the available parking spots are. That's our vision, right? How to give convenience to the user. Not only just to sell them stuff. When you walk into a fashion store, maybe we will even remind you that your kid's birthday is coming up, right? Get something for your kid. Yeah? Or if you have visited Italian cuisine restaurants, say, hey, there's a new opening. And I think this is what we want to curate and personalize for you. So that's what we're trying to achieve at the mall. It's really a hyper personalization, I call it, to engage it how you want it to be, where you want it to be, and at your method of communication as well, right? So yeah, I look forward to that. Actually, it sounds very, very exciting. A lot of things that can be done, but obviously so many complex data points that we have to just not only collect, analyze, and utilize. I think I'll just share one more, which probably as if you're brand owners, got brand owners, okay, the brand owners like Alcon or XP&G, right? So what we want to do actually is also augment that data. Let's say if we have the physical data, right? But obviously as a brand, as a tenant, you have much more reach outside of the geographical location. So you have maybe the nationwide information and you say, all right, I've got this information. Can I find similarities with yours and exclude your customer base and find new customer bases, but still have the intersection of that purchasing behavior or that personality that you're trying to target? So those are the more far off initiatives that we want to provide value back. Again, it's provision of value back to the merchants, the tenants, and ultimately the shoppers at the end of the day. Yeah.
Actually, I'm just curious, just an add-on question to that. So all of those brands and retailers in your malls, do they engage in data sharing the other way as well? Purchase data, et cetera, et cetera?
Today, not yet. And I envision actually that should be the way in the future. Yeah. Right. Because it helps both of us, right? Yeah. I can help you reach new customers which haven't experienced your product before. Mm-hmm. I can probably aggregate some information to make it anonymized, so that it also helps protect our other tenants' privacy of data. They don't want their competitors knowing what they do, right, and whatnot. So yes, we are also looking into that, but that requires cooperation from the customer. But I think with the digital platforms like Facebook, TikTok, where you're already the brands are already putting in their audience information, they probably normalize in that. We just probably have to speak to the right team that's the authority to impact the retail side of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Victor. That's super, super interesting. And I'm also very curious, and potentially for this audience as well, for if we think about a P&G and a house of brands like P&G, where they are typically low involvement in grocery products, Shankar, how do you think about data? What are the data types that are most important to you in order to enhance consumer experience for grocery type products and things like that?
Well, I was really struck with what Victor said. I mean, before I answer that question, I think, in the online world, you're a marketplace, right? Mall is a marketplace. So you actually have the data and the retail stores have the data. In the online marketplace, whichever ones you take, the S, L, or A or whatever, right? Actually, the marketplace has the data and the online guys, the stores don't have it. So it's like a complete contra. Actually, we can bring the two together and create win-win on offline to online. Let's talk about this after this. Question was data. Okay. Yeah, for me, data it is. Data is the currency. I know people talk data is the currency today and all that stuff. But data has been the single biggest driver of business understanding, business depth, driving business change for the last 20, 30 years, right? I grew up in a culture where we didn't have the modern retail. It started with the, mom and pop stores, etc. But on the online world, I actually really liked what Victor said. Every data is crucial for us to understand. But before I get to all these, very complex data concepts, I would like to start with very simple data, which I like to collect and which has direct impact on the business. I'm sure by now you've understood that I'm a business person who likes to link to business, as you've seen in all my answers. The first data I like to collect, I'm greedy. I like to collect every data that's possible to collect. Only criteria being it should be legal and it should meet privacy and security. So apart from these three, which I'd never want to violate either the local laws or the privacy of people, for one of the first data, you look at a platform. You open your phone. I like to collect the data. What are products that are out of stock, right? That tells me that because I keep seeing a lot of out of stock on platforms. Second, consumers are surfing and then they look at a mobile phone. Of course, in Asia, 85-90% of shopping happens on mobile, and you have like a second or 2 seconds maybe to look at the content. So the one data that I'm really interested in is the click-through, right? How many people actually click on the content, right? And how many people are surfing and click, right? So then the click-through rates are really important to me, because for me, that at the foundation tells you in any business, high loyalty, low loyalty, high turn, low turn, is that how impactful your content is, right? And, I come from, I would like to use the work of integrated commerce, as Haryanto said. I like to use the concept of stop, hold, close. So at least is the content able to hold you to at least click on the content. So if I get that data about the click-throughs, because that click-through tells me how much content improvements I need to do. I also like to, I'm not going to go through every element of it, but I like to get data increasingly about online especially, offline also we can see, but it's very hard to see offline, about cart abandonment, right? Because we know in our industry, at least 30 to 40% of the carts are abandoned, right? People come all the way to the end and then they abandon the cart, right? And honestly, I do it myself just to see how does the website behave with me, just to get the experience. I deliberately go to like Airbnb, the example I gave, I deliberately abandoned the cart, right? To see, do they come back to me and integrate? So, which I told you, it was a great experience. They did it, but there are many places that do. So I like to get into the negatives, right? Which is the cart abandonment data, and then penetrate as to seek to understand, if possible, if I'm allowed, talk to consumers, if the platform allows me, because I don't have access the platform unless I'm on an D2C platforms. Of course, I can take their permission and talk to them seek to understand, because consumer is the boss, and I would like to understand from her, sometimes him, about what happened, what could we change, what is the friction that you ran to abandonment. So I think that tells me, because he or she is, I mean, especially she's taken all the effort and spent 15, 20 minutes, done the shopping, checked, and abandoned the cart, right? So I think that's a piece of data. The other piece of data I've been increasingly interested in, and I was talking because I'm advising a lot of companies and they reach out to me every now and then. I mean, every week, 3-4 people reach out. So I said, okay, let's open up your ratings and reviews, right? Especially your ratings and reviews. And, when we work in companies, when we work, writing our performance reviews, we're really focused on how many ratings we got, which are 5 and 4. But I say, can we start at the bottom? How many ratings did you get, which are 1 and 2, right? Oh, we never got any 1 rating. I said, that's really bad news, right? So I said, no, so if you go and see those reviews at the 1 and 2 level and really see what the consumers are trying to say. And, we talked about AI, and I think in today's world, we can there's a lot of material in the ratings and reviews. So I was talking to a company that reached out to me from the US, and I was advising them just this week. I think it was Tuesday morning, right? And the person was based in Pacific time zone. And then we spent time, and it took 30, 40 minutes to go over the ratings. And it was very insightful. I said, do you know why this review is? And you've not even answered this review. So I think, the rating and review analysis for me is crucial. Of course, in a lot of parts of the region, especially in the region I ran, we have to set up the capability of getting ratings and reviews. And, it's not difficult, it's not hard, but it's not easy, but it has to be done, right? So I would say, you can also, the other data that I'm really intrigued about right now, and all of this is already available on platforms, is really, again, the quality of content, right? I go back again to content because I come from a consumer product company. And for us, single biggest thing we've been talking, it started with our previous CEO, A.G. Lafley, when we talked about winning the first moment of truth. And, we have to win the first moment of truth, which is, whether in store or whether online, which we call the Z moment of truth. Because if we can win the first moment of truth, which is what the consumer sees, then only we have a chance that she can go next step of going to the second moment when she actually uses the product. So I'm really fascinated with the content. So I like to see how much time people have spent on the content. People have seen, have they understood it? Have they gone to seeing not just the base content, have they gone and seen the rich content? So I like to get those pieces of data. So as you can imagine, I promise you, everything is within legal, privacy, and security, because that's the one thing I don't want to ever violate. But if that is allowed, then, I'm not looking at PII data. I don't need the person's name, the nameplate and the car plate number, etc. But I would like to even segments of data opens up insights for me. So again, sorry for long answer, sorry for the passion, but I think there's much that can be unearthed. And then you can put through true platform. You can put through the analytics platform, and you can put it through the data science platform. Because analytics will tell you what it is, and data science can tell you what it could be, right? So these are two different worlds. I mean, there's just so much opportunity.
Cool, thank you. Want to take a pause and see if there are any questions in the room for the panelists. There is a question up front. Is there a mic or? Thank you. So maybe just a question for the ratings and reviews. I'm quite curious about this one to deep dive more a bit, because it's very useful for marketers, right, to figure out the product information. Is it correct, if it's aligned with what we're trying to message, pictures, descriptions, and so forth. But also for the quality teams to learn quickly about any kind of issues with the product that can do, running change improvements and so forth. But as data goes, right, to analyze all this information, structure it into what is the issue on the reviews with the customer feedback in terms of the service or the product related issue, right? Do you have any good use cases where you
used all this information and created something amazing. And what tools did you use to set up the right processing of rating and reviews into something tangible in terms of the business benefit?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think ratings and reviews are not just useful for marketers, customer service, but also for upstream R&D, right? And that's what, especially the dedicated consumer. I'm not going to go into specific use cases because I have to protect confidentiality of companies that I work with. But there are use cases where we can sit down and create a use case on a platform which you run. I mean, I can spend. And there are ways to, of course, if you have more technology through AI, machine learning and all that, we can obviously take these 4,000 or 5,000 reviews and put it, sort it, etc. But what I'm saying is, hey, listen, don't depend on technology to do the work. Do the work and technology will follow. You can just read 500 ratings and reviews or 300 or 100. I was with this company on Tuesday. I just went through, I did my homework on Sunday for this meeting, and I was going through, I read 40 or 50 of them. It took me 45 minutes, right? I did some simple statistical, pie diagrams and classifications in 3-4 segments. So we can do as limit. So I think you're absolutely right. And in today's rating, in a lot of rating, consumers are actually telling you what your fan following will tell you what else do they want. They want a different color. They want we have examples where consumers have come and said, I would like to have a different pack size, right? So we have a 2 kg, 3 kg. They say, can I have a 5 kg? And, and that was a wake-up call for us. Hey, I mean, I think maybe that's a size we don't need to debate. We just need to do it, right? There was a situation where people said, I would like to have this kind of a perfume, right? Because some of our business, a lot of our products, at least in FMCG, in P&G's portfolio, are perfume-driven, whether it's hair care, shampoo, conditioner, laundry, etc. And they said, these are other kind of perfumes I would like to have. So I think these are areas in which you can really use that. And, so I encourage people to collect the data, set up the platform to get the ratings and reviews, especially the reviews. And then, work technology, fine. AI, machine, those guys will do it, but they'll charge a fortune. Put a few people around it, yourself. And I also believe change starts with leadership. So I've sat down with young managers in a room, locked up for an hour. Let's look at the website and open up and see what rating and reviews they get. So you're absolutely right. It can be used for product design, product development, customer service, promotion, new product development, etc., etc. There's no end to this. Yeah.
Was there a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think it was a very good sharing of digitalization in business and marketing and so on. I'm coming from the academic, platform and education. I was just looking at, how digitalization and e-commerce has taken great strides in this world. So just that, from the education perspective, just a curious question. Now, there are lots of marketing tools, platforms, and, things get, shared on the platform of a business. And, just now you were saying about when you drive into the mall with your car and, data can be, retrieved and so on. This is the question, is there a governing body that kind of control or manage in terms of professionalism, integrity, ethics of what can be shared by any organization on the platform so that it doesn't infringe privacy or values or so on? Because sometimes these things are shared on the platform, on social media that is accessible to everyone, even children and so on. So y'all are experts, listening to y'all fantastic about, what are e-commerce and digitalization in business. And we also encourage as educationists that we have to be very into technology for education because that's the real thing. IR 4.0, education 4.0, and so on. Is there a governing body that says you can do this, you can't do this? I mean, we are looking at humanity, something like that. I mean, you're the experts. Is there any control, the do's and the don'ts and things like that? Thank you.
Interesting question, right? So in my line of work, my industry is medical device. So it's heavily regulated. It's very tough when you look at consumer prescription. So these are health information. This is very specific information that if it's leaked, I mean, there's huge implications in terms of our company's reputation and so on and so forth, right? So your question about data privacy. So we do have internal legal counsel that we will leverage on to make sure that we are covered from a legal and compliance perspective. And that is accordance to your local data privacy laws as well. So every country will have their own data privacy laws. So one example, it's also very diverse across APAC. India is one of those countries have the least data privacy restrictions as compared to Japan and Korea. Europe is a huge region which is very strict in terms of data privacy. So they have a regional data privacy council that's being run by EU that will manage data privacy laws. Unfortunately, I don't think there's an APAC or ASEAN data privacy council yet that's formed by ASEAN. But I know local markets do have their own laws that you could, ask your legal counsel or maybe external legal counsel that you might want to hire if you do not have that kind of capabilities in-house. So this is my straightforward answer in terms of how our company has been dealing with data privacy laws across the region and with individual markets. So maybe, I don't know, Victor, anything to add for Malaysia?
And maybe I can add to Victor. I mean, I think it's a great question. Thank you for asking. And I come from, PNG. I think the best regulation is self-regulation. So, second, don't do anything that could be wrong just because it may be allowed or not allowed. So third, I think we want to be that's why I kept on saying we want to be legal, we want to be personally compliant. And just because it's digital commerce, I don't know about others. I can speak for a company I worked in, the companies I advise right now. Just because it's allowed doesn't mean you should do it, right? You have to respect, be ethical, be legal, be compliant, be responsible. I think these are very important things. Otherwise, I mean, I know a lot of people are not, but then no business is worth business at any cost, right? So, but you're right. I think, but to fair to governments and industry, I also participate and advise governments. So industry platforms and bodies are coming up. It's getting better. It's getting tighter. But it is what it is, and governments are doing it with a certain purpose. So, but I truly believe that privacy is really important, and it's dangerous with the kind of data you collect. What else can happen? So I'm a big supporter of that. I'm a big supporter of security. I'm a big supporter of all the legal guidelines. So work in progress, but you have to be very, very values and ethical based start, right?
Yeah, I'll just add on quickly to it. I think, the good thing is that most governments, local government agencies nationwide also have a privacy data law. As organizations, we also don't want to get on the wrong side of the law, right? But it goes back, for me, I think it goes back to the company values. So I can only speak for the ones that we have right now in the mall. The good thing is that there's a tagline. It's too bad I don't have my t-shirt with me today, but it's trusted, right? So trust is very important for our company, right? Because if not, then it's the age-old question of, even in the past, you still have data espionage, right? I can put in all the controls, and you can just take your phone and take each picture of the customer profile. I can just sell it and transcribe the data later. So I think if the values drive the company, then the rest will follow in terms of the software investments, the people we hire, the enforcement, and all this. Yeah, so that's my really short answer to it. I think if not, then it's just, it becomes too out of hand, right? Yeah.
I think there was a question down the front.
Yeah, I'd ask a question. Recent buzzword nowadays on the tech scene is, of course, AI. So, given your industry background, what will you be your number one, AI applicable case scenario for your industry? Yeah, especially I think it's quite interesting for the mall to look into it. Yeah, right. So maybe each speaker would like to share the top one. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, I'll just start off since he mentioned the mall, right? I think the honestly we haven't used it yet, but it's an area we definitely want to look at. I think the ones that are most applicable right now is actually the image generation, so generative AI, right? So most of the one that you hear is text based. So the ones that we look at, because we need to market for our brands and ourselves, then we look at, okay, how can we do it without taking the video shoots? How can we do it without needing you to send the products to me, right? So I think that that's definitely helpful. And in fact, it cuts down a lot of graphics designers' job. Yeah. Every festival, every holiday, we have to come up with some banners and images and whatnot. So that's number one that we think will help us a lot. And the second thing is really, I think, from the customer service angle. But we're treading very, very carefully in that, because you don't really know what that bot or AI would tell the customer. So maybe we will just use it as an augment or knowledge-based information to highlight things to the customer agent, and the customer agent still needs to interact with the shoppers at the end of the day. Yeah, so that's what is coming from my end.
Either of you have a view?
So, thank you. I mean, I know it's a hot new thing, especially last 4 or 5 months, right? It's the theme of 2023, that and global warming. So, for me, I separate AI into two parts: artificial and intelligence, right? So I really want to focus on the intelligence aspect, and that we have used, because you start, I think Haryanto also said, you get the data, you churn it, you use machine learning, it spits out intelligence, right? Either on analytics or through data science, it doesn't matter. So we've used that a lot, whether in forecasting, whether in planning, search, scraping the web legally, and understanding consumer trends, right? What are consumers thinking? What could be potential for R&D, etc. There are some Google platforms that allow you to do that. So I think those are applications. Now, I think when you add the artificial to the intelligence is where you see more technology breakthroughs coming, which could drive productivity, speed, etc., which also we are starting to see. But I think it's now going to hit the speed wire now. But there's much you can do just by collecting and predicting capability. So I think that's a big piece of work. I mean, I talked about review analysis. Otherwise, sorting out all the reviews, it's not easy, right? Because it's all wordy, it's not numbers, right? So,
Lawrence, do you have a view of potential use cases?
Just a quick one on AI. So China as a market, we are able to sell direct to consumer from a content lens perspective. So we are massive on Douyin, TikTok. So live streaming, Douyin stores. These are, I think we are all very familiar with the Taobao and all these different JD, Jingdong, JD.com. So with all these massive e-commerce platforms, there's a huge demand for content, huge demand. And, you're looking at 18 hours live streaming a day, and you to have that demand for content requires a lot of work. So going back to Victor's point about content development, right? Creating images, videos that, on a huge scale is time consuming, require a lot of investment as well. So traditionally back in my days in P&G, we have briefing in the agencies, create, all different assets, IBC toolkits and stuff. That will not work in the world we're in now. It has to be a huge speed to market initiative. So we have started using AI technology where we put an entire library of content online on a platform and include a GPT, AI prompt kind of responses. So if somebody wants to know a certain brand they want to market, you can key in the keyword. What's the seasonality? Is it Chinese New Year? Is it back to school? With these different keywords, it will pretty much give us use the existing library that we have and create new images for us. So that is the immediate use case that we've done right now for China, because the business case of having content on that massive scale is just unprecedented right now. So yeah, a quick one, the use case there.
Cool. We've got a whole host of questions that weren't even covered because there's been a lot of good discussion. We've covered technology. We've talked about data. We've talked about AI and generative AI. Anytime I'm moderating a panel, I like to close off on a little lighthearted note, and you guys don't know that this is coming. So we are going to end this session with a speed round. So I'm going to ask each of you the same question, and it's usually a choice between two. Don't overthink it. Quick answers only. Yeah? And we'll start with some warm-up questions. Okay. So when you network and when you get the chance to meet them a little bit later, preferred drink, coffee or tea, Lawrence?
Coffee.
Is that a third option? Yeah, third option. As long as it's quick.
Coffee.
Coffee.
Third option, beer.
Beer. Okay. That's for networking a little bit later. PC or Mac?
Mac phone.
PC.
PC.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
iPhone.
Android.
Okay. Web3 / metaverse or generative AI?
Generative AI.
Generative AI.
AI.
Okay. Experimentation or piloting, part of the job or incremental to your job?
Part of the job.
Part of the job.
Part of job. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Personalization. Okay. Personalization question. Personalization at the expense of scale or mass market at the expense of personalization?
Mass market at the expense of personalization.
Mass market as well.
Yeah, both the same as well.
Mass market. Okay. All right. All right. A little bit about you guys. So, preferred method of shopping, offline or online?
Online.
Both.
Offline.
both actually.
Both. Okay. I should have said no fence sitting. So.
No, but it is both.
Okay. Fine. All right. Okay. Cool. Zoom etiquette. We all do a lot of Zoom calls. Head to toe business or business up top, party down below?
Below. Yep.
Business up top, party down below. If possible, party up top and party below.
Head to toe business.
It's wow. I think you're
Gets you in the mood. Yeah. Everything.
I think you're the first person I've ever asked that has said that. Okay. And then finally, holiday destination, a Bangkok city break or a Thai island beach getaway?
Don't give a getaway.
Koh Samui.
Bangkok City. Yeah.
Bangkok City. All right. Excellent. Well, please join me in thanking Lawrence, Shankar, and Victor for an awesome panel. Thank you very much, guys.
Very happy to have the chance to share on the social and the live commerce. And we talk a lot about e-commerce and retail in the morning in the earlier sections. And I would just want to give a little bit lighthearted time at the beginning as well, since we haven't got any rest in the whole morning. Before I start the sharing, I want to do a quick poll here in the room. The question is, has anyone watched live streaming or even, like on TikTok or on Meta, or even you purchased any items on these kind of social platforms? Raise your hand. Oh, that's a lot. Okay. I have a follow-up question since a lot of people raise your hand. It's a quiz. In the past few years, what do you think is the sales revenue, the record of sales revenue generated by a live streaming? Give me a number. Lawrence, please don't speak. I feel like you know the answer. Anyone wants to volunteer a number? Just make a guess. 2 billion million? 2 billion USD dollars. That is very big number. Okay, anyone else? Okay. 500 million. Okay. It sounds, okay. Let's maybe start with the number. I will review the answer later on very quickly. So a lot of people might be wondering why we want to talk about social and live commerce. why we want to talk about social and live commerce and what impact has it generated. So here is example. The young and handsome guy that you see on the screen here is called Li Jiaqi. And he is one of the most famous and the #1 live streaming influencer in China, Taobao, right now. And he has 73 million followers. And 73 million followers, I just want to repeat again. The number is actually slightly higher than the entire Thailand population. For those who have planned media actively, you will know to reach a 73 million reach, you probably will need a few media channels to be able to do it. So at least one man is a media channel already. And what he can do is way beyond the media channel. On Double 11, which is the biggest sales promotion on Tmall in 2022, he attracted 460 million views. And apparently these people enjoy his live streaming very much. They convert and purchase a lot of products. And yes, the record was made at $3 billion. So Shankar was very close with at 2 billion. And $3 billion, I think that's way beyond a lot of companies' 1 year sales revenue. I just want to highlight that. So this is an example how much impact social and live commerce can make. And this trend right now, I don't think it's only in China. It has been expanded to the rest of the world as well. And I will share more details in the coming slides. So today I have 3 agenda items. First of all, I will do a 101. For those who just raise hand like you watch live streaming, I will give you more insights on what it is about social and live commerce. Secondly, I will use China example, and we deep dive a little bit more into it to figure out what are the key drivers for social and live commerce, and what are the implications here for us in ASEAN. Finally, it is really in time of a very rapid evolution, and the question is, what does success require for us? So on the first topic, what is social commerce? I think on the naming that you kind of know already, I'm sure everyone knows about social media. Everyone knows about e-commerce. And yes, you can imagine that social commerce is the combination of two. And it serves as the intersections of social media and e-commerce. And I have to say, content is also a very important part of it as well. So on the left-hand side, you can see that today social media has been shifting towards e-commerce. Some examples could be like the business and the brands today. They are building their new storefronts. They have their Facebook shop. They have their TikTok shop. And also the social media storefronts, it's not only showing your products, it's integrated seamlessly with the payments solutions as well. So you can very easily to convert on these kind of social media platforms. On the right-hand side, we're seeing the e-commerce is shifting towards social media as well. And you can see some examples could be like the e-commerce platforms, they allow the consumers to post a review, as Shankar mentioned a bit earlier as well. And also another example is like the Li Jiaqi example I talked about earlier. You will be able to follow the influencers on e-commerce platforms. And Li Jiaqi has 73 million followers, just like what you have been doing on Facebook and Instagram today. So in the middle, social commerce is the combination of the two. And you can see some typical players today would be like TikTok, Taobao, Facebook, and we certainly have many others as well. And to really enable the social and the live commerce, content has been really a very important factor here. And it is with the new formats and the new technologies. New formats, imagine that it is the short form video. It could be the live streaming. Technologies include something like AR or VR, and it really brings in very disruptive experience for the consumers today. So what on the screen here is an e-commerce value chain, starting from in identifying the customers to product discovery and the purchase and to post-purchase as well. And what has been social commerce made it differently? It will be the key elements highlighted in purple here. And I want to take a few examples. First of all, maybe we can take a look on the product discovery and the purchase. For out-of-store discovery, how will the traditional e-commerce reach out to the consumer? I think a lot of the people will be touched by the advertisements, or maybe you think about the product and then you search. But for social commerce, it is very different today. When you are enjoying your time, you do the leisure browsing time, maybe on TikTok or maybe on Facebook or on some of the other platforms, you might be identifying some products that you are very interested in. And it just sparks your demand and interest, and you might start the search. So it is very different. And also on purchase support and the reviews as well. So for social commerce, with AR and the VR technology, it really provides something very different. And maybe on continued engagement as well. So traditional e-commerce, once you finish the purchase, that's it. I don't think a lot of the brands will be continue. There will be very meaningful engagement afterwards. But for social commerce, it's very different because you have an attachment to the person, to the influencer, and there's a lot more emotional connect in between as well. So with this kind of features and advantages, what is the growth trend for social commerce in the past few years, and how do we forecast the growth trend for this part of the world? First of all, let's take a look of the pioneer markets, China and India. In the nascent stage, it achieved about nearly 5 of the e-commerce penetration. And if we take a look at Southeast Asia countries, and I recommend to take a look on these 2 specific metrics as well. One is the social media penetration. It indicates how prevalent social media has been with our customers and how that could be consumers could be convert on these kind of social platforms as well. Another one is like how much time they spend on the social media daily. And you can see, comparing with China and India, Southeast Asian markets, it's not only on par, and it could be even on the higher end as well. So Indonesia is about 68%, and also like the daily social media engagement hours is like 3.2, while China is only 2.5. So we think Southeast Asia countries, we have a very high potential to really grow on social commerce. Right now, 2021, the penetration is less than 1. Yes, it's very nascent. But by 2025, we think it will really get to a stage of 3 to 8, and by 2030, it will get even higher. Move on to the live commerce. A lot of people raised hand for live streaming, so I assume that you know about it already. But for those who are not so sure what it is about, live streaming is a form of e-commerce as well. And it provides 2 key features. First of all, it really combines the audience participation. You'll be able to see KOL or maybe an influencer, it hosts the live streaming and really demonstrate the product features. And there are a lot of the tools for you to try on the platform as well. For example, the AI and the VR we talked about earlier. What it means is like maybe on the live streaming, you'll be able to use a tool and try on a lipstick and see how the color fits to you without going to a store. So it's very convenient. And also it really mitigate a lot of the consumers' pain points, the concerns before they really complete the purchase order. On the other hand, we also see live streaming is providing the option for consumers to instantly purchase an item as well. You will be able to browse through the products available to sell on the live stream. And also there are some elements of the gamification as well, the shopper entertainment, to provide some of the limited time offers to motivate the shopper to convert on it as well. So what is the growth trend in the past few years? Again, if Southeast Asia, it is still very nascent. But compared to USA and China, which is the pioneer market for live streaming, it is still quite lagging behind. But we do expect live commerce is expected to really grow very rapidly in ASEAN. There are two reasons for it. One is that we see in the next few years, in the past few years, social e-commerce has been growing very, very rapidly. I think everyone has felt the trend already, especially the COVID time has accelerated the shift further to online. And in the next few years, the developing e-commerce infrastructure and e-commerce penetration and also consumers' online spending behavior will be even more growing. And another factor to it is also we cannot really ignore our strong force behind it, which is Gen Z. Gen Z they will be increasingly gain more and more spending power, and they are the generation who were born in a digital world. Where our consumers go, where we should be at as well. Okay, so now move on to the second section. So I will deep dive a bit more into China market. And honestly, I myself worked in China market before, especially during the time that social and live commerce started. So I'll share a little bit experience of myself as well. So first of all, here is a growth chart in the past few years for China's social and live commerce in terms of sales revenue. You can see the growth trend, the CAGR is 4-digit. That's how it has been growing to such a level of impact and also created a record of $3 billion. So it really, if I may say, I think the growth trend can be divided into roughly 3 phases. So phase 1, 2016, Taobao started actually. And then the first year is mostly on apparel and the beauty categories. But the next year they started to expand to the other category, all categories actually. And then so I think the second phase will be 2018, which is a key milestone here. And that was the year Taobao used the Double 11 live streaming record to make live streaming aware by the society. And starting from that year, a lot of the consumers, the e-commerce as well, consumers are aware of live streaming. They participate in live streaming a lot more. Li Jiaqi starting to grow a lot of followers. And also not only Taobao, the other e-commerce platforms and the social media platforms, they started live streaming as well. And I would say the third stage will be 2019 to 20. Because that was the time live streaming is not only limited to e-commerce. Now it is impacting every aspect of the society as well. You can see celebrities, even the top ones, Fan Bingbing or some of the others, the top ones, governments, CEOs, they are joining the live streaming as well. And sometimes for the education and the classes, when they are running the school open day, they will do live streaming as well. It just it's everywhere, and that's why a lot of you can see the growth trend has been so tremendous in the past few years. And I myself, when I was working in China during the time about 2017 to 2019, that was also the time that live streaming has been growing a lot. And I was responsible for Alibaba, Taobao back then. So I myself have done the live streaming too to my consumers. And what that feels like is really very different from the traditional. Because before, you were kind of hide at the bottom. But when doing the live streaming, you are actually featuring the products. You really feel you are the owner and you are the brand ambassador, and you need to bring the best experience to the consumers. And it is just a very direct engagement. And consumers will ask you a lot of questions. You need to be ready for it as well. I've said the feeling of achievement, it's tremendous if you as a brand owner to try on the live streaming. So that is the growth trend for social and live commerce. If we do a comparison with the other platforms as well, you will see the CAGR, the growth CAGR in the past few years is really social and live streaming has been leading on it. So on the right-hand side, on JD, Taobao, and others are the traditional e-commerce, while at the left-hand side, the TikTok, Douyin, and Pinduoduo, they are the social and live commerce. You can see it's really been leading the way, and the traditional e-commerce has been really reached the maturity stage. So what are the key drivers to drive the growth? I summarized the 3 key factors here, the 3 key drivers, 2 from the demand side, 1 from the supply side. So on the demand side, the first one is that we are seeing the very consumers' behavior has been changed and evolving in the past few years. And secondly, from the merchants, from brands' perspective as well, they do have the pain points. They want consumers to be able to finish a purchase within one ecosystem. So that really reduce the drop-off rate a lot. On social commerce, you'll be able to reach and engage with the consumer on social commerce, and then you can also convert on it, versus you will need to jump out to the other platform. So that is the pain point that brands have been having for a long time, but no one else could solve. On the supply side, we're also seeing the innovation provided by the social commerce platforms as well. And we can talk a bit more in the following slides. So on the first driver, which is the consumer, we have been seeing the rise of Gen Z and the COVID has really accelerated the shift to online. And it's really fueling the traffic to short video and the live streaming as well. So what on the chart here shows that how what is the average time spent on mobile apps per month across different activities. And you can clearly see that in 2021, comparing to 2020, social live streaming and the short video is the one really gained most attraction from consumers. And I've said the people who are driving it the generation will be driving it will be our Gen Z, because they are the digital native. If you take a look, even in Southeast Asia as well, on Instagram, on TikTok as well, the main target audience will be the Gen Z, the 18 to 24, not even the 30 plus. I'm feeling a bit old now. So I think in Southeast Asia, the rise of the Gen Z will really likely to accelerate the growth of social commerce as well. We are likely to see it. Secondly, another one from the supply side is our merchants and the brands. Here is a survey we did in China. We asked the question, how do you expect the e-commerce market share of the following channel will be changing in 2021? And the result is that comparing to the traditional e-commerce, nearly 90% of the brand's owner, they think social e-commerce will be the one that will be increasing. So if we think about Southeast Asia here, I think among the sellers, there will be constantly competition going on. They will be very incentivized to find a new solution and new engine to drive the growth. It's a need will never end. And among the e-commerce players side, we have been seeing Lazada and Shopee in the past few years. They have been competing so much that it's really fierce. And now we're seeing the TikTok will also tap into the e-commerce area as well. So these sellers and e-commerce players, they will be very urgent. They will be very incentivized to search for the new innovative solutions in Southeast Asia. And the live commerce, social and live commerce, will likely to serve and respond well to the needs. So above two are from the supply side. If we think the demand side, if we think the demand is always there, but why social commerce is the one that's winning the heart and also has been growing the most? The answer comes to the supply side. So what they have been doing greatest, what they have been doing differently comparing to traditional e-commerce. So here is a little bit busy one. Please follow me. Let's take a look how consumers have been thinking and doing. What are the key jobs to be done for across the consumer funnel? So for social commerce, how would the consumer start the journey? They might just be doing some very leisure browsing on TikTok. And time to take a break, Let's see what's new on Douyin. And oh my God, this eyeliner seems to be very interesting and perfect. And then it's kind of a reminding of my pinpoints. Oh, it's my turn now. Wait, where's my eyeliner? And so your demand got activated. So the eyeliners has been using, the influencer or whoever has been using seems to be very, very good start. And why don't give it a try? And then she might be doing a bit research, comparing the price. Oh, okay, it sounds all right. And then let's give it a go. She place an order. But definitely behind it, the very two important pillars here will be, first of all, content. Your product recommendation has to be really content-based. It will be very interesting. As Shankar said, it's a zero moment of truth as well. So it will be very important that you produce very interesting and engaging content to really pick the interest. The second one, I think, is really the social commerce platforms have been doing very great recently. It's the recommendation algorithm. So it's they will be figuring out what is your interest using the big data and push the right video to you. So that's also why you are seeing you've been spending more and more time on TikTok, right? Because it's very time consuming, getting a bit time consuming now, because the videos have been pushed to you is really the ones that are very interesting to you. But comparing to the traditional e-commerce, it's the journey is a lot different. The traditional ones, the consumers will need to know about your pain points first. I already know I need an eyeliner. So for those who haven't noticed that, it will just be a ruse. And then I will need to search actively. If I haven't found any products I pick my interest, it will lose that interest here as well. So I think for social e-commerce, it's really has been very disruptive in terms of the consumer journey as well. Then if we see in Southeast Asia, I think there are some very similar solutions provided by the platforms as well. We have already been seeing Facebook, Lazada, Shopee, even Amazon, they have live to really drive the trend. So I think in Southeast Asia, it will be something happening. And to drive the revenue growth very effectively on social commerce, as we mentioned earlier on as well, content is very essential. So it is critical to update to have your organization to be able to really produce this kind of content and have this kind of capability. And apart from that, I think for social and live commerce, just similar as your e-commerce as well, there are many other capabilities such as assortment management, your KOL operation, and also the advertisement delivery and the service support to really help to help consumers convert on it. So finally, moving on to the last topic, what should we do? I think the future of e-commerce will constantly evolving. Today, we talk about AI, we talk about personalization, we talk about social and live commerce. It's the future of it's the trend. But the end state is still unknown. So in the time of a rapid evolution, I think everyone will make mistakes. So a lot of things might be wrong. But two things I think remain important and remain true. One is the test and learn capability. I think in e-commerce world it's called A/B test as well. Secondly is the operating model that really enables your pace and scale. So first of all, on test and learn, I think it's an idea actually known by a lot of people already, but it's really, I think the reason for it is because you simply don't know the answer. What is the answer? You can ask many people, what is the industry practice? What is your best practice? But for your own brand, whether it will still hold true, the answer is that you don't know until you try. So it's always being the best way to run some pilot first before you scale it up. And secondly, on operating model, there are three key elements here to help you. And there's a lot of brands stumble in these three key areas as well. So first of all, is ownership. For e-commerce business, I think it's really an area with a lot of ambiguity. So sales and the marketing had to really work hand in hand together for a lot of the jobs as well. For example, a very simple one, like to decorate your e-commerce shops, you will need to come up with a lot of PDP, which is a product description page, and your storefront basically. Even for my previous company as well, we argued a little bit about it. So the e-commerce team thinks it should be marketing team's job. How come I can produce this kind of content about our brand and the product? And then from marketing side, it's like, how do I know what the e-commerce platforms and the shoppers on e-commerce will need? I don't know what is a PDP. So for this kind of ambiguity, you will need to really assign some person to be the single point of accountability for the work and to really have the ownership and to have someone to help on the decision making and governing the day-to-day execution as well. Second thing is expertise. So one example could be a lot of the multinational companies, they have the global and the regional function, but it's not very clear what are the support layer provided. So, and also what are the expertise, whether the expertise from the team has been handed over to the local team, it's unsure. Another example could be on digital expertise. It is actually very specific. It's not something that you can learn easily. If previously you are doing brand, it definitely requires a learning curve. So whether you have the digital capability built within your team, maybe you have someone join from external, that will be a key question leader need to think about. Certainly on the agility, it's I think it's really a nature of the e-commerce as well, because traditional way of working seems to be quite slow comparing to the e-commerce. If it's not really a weekly, but today it could be like the operation could be really on daily, you need the decision to made by probably a daily basis, if not hourly, especially during the Double 11 time. So here marks the conclusion and the end of my sharing, and I'd like to highlight the key takeaways here. And there are three of them. First of all, everyone still remember what social commerce and live commerce is. Social commerce serves as the intersection of social media, e-commerce, and content. And live commerce is the live streaming that allows you to have the audience interaction and also to purchase at the same time. Secondly, social commerce, what are the key drivers here for them? First of all, two from demand, one from supply. So from the demand side, we have the consumer trends and the merchant's pain point, and on the supply side, we have the content innovation. which we think for ASEAN, it will likely follow the trend too. The last one is what does success require? First of all, test and learn. Secondly, an operating model that allows you to enable the pace and the scale. So this is the end of my sharing, and feel free if there's any questions.
Thank you very much. But in case you have a question later, don't forget the networking reception right outside of this room. There are foods and drinks. So go enjoy yourself after the session. And this is the end of our morning session today. Again, I would like to thank you all, speakers, moderator, and our panelists for such an insightful knowledge today. And before you go, don't forget to scan the QR code so that we can get your feedback on how to improve the next session. It's just less than a minute, just 6 questions to answer. And meanwhile, I'm gonna see you again outside the networking event, and join us back here at for the afternoon session. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณค่ะ